like to greet everybody today with the universal greetings of peace and the blessings of God be with you. It don't matter what your political, philosophical, personal, nor religious beliefs may be. No matter if you're rich or poor, no matter if you're the toughest to the weakest person on the face of this earth, no matter if you're dark-skinned or light-skinned, and I greet all of you all with the universal greetings of peace and the blessings of God be with you. Today is Thursday, August the 15th, 2019. It's about 8:55 a.m. I'm sitting in here in Charleston, Missouri, in front of the Mississippi County Courthouse, the 33rd Circuit, which yesterday I took Nigel Easton and Barry Boyce to trial for harassing me right down the street from the courthouse, right down here by the police station. The police station has cameras, plus I videoed it myself, and the detective made the report and gave it to the prosecutor gave it to the judge, and it was set for trial twice, once in June, and then yesterday Barry Boyce and Nigel Easton represented themselves, and the prosecuting attorney was representing me. But what was strange was Barry Boyce and Nigel Easton called a Charleston, Missouri police officer by the name of Austin Henson to testify in their behalf for something that happened in January of 2019 when they came by my property harassing me and disturbing my peace, which the police didn't make any report. They did that twice. On the detective that was subpoenaed to court, and the hard drive that they had from the police department wasn't in court. The detective wasn't there, nor was the hard drive. If the detective couldn't make it, the Charleston, Missouri Police Chief, Robert Hearns, should have had the hard drive to the prosecuting attorney, because these two individuals committed a crime. But yesterday, when we went to trial, the judge said he'll render his decision late on that evening. I called up there this morning about 8 o'clock, and I was told that the judge made a ruling. With Nigel Easton, he didn't find him guilty of anything. With Barry Boyce, all he found him guilty was of peace disturbance. But now, how is it that Barry Boyce get convicted of peace disturbance when him and Nigel Easton did the very same thing? And not only just that day, they had a history of doing it. Then, how is they not being charged with harassment? You know why? Because one thing about it, first I want to say with Judge Dolan, I appreciate you making a just decision. In Judge Gary Camp out of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, I appreciate you making a just decision. See what happened yesterday, the ruling to me and to anybody else that stands by the law, it's a miscarriage of justice. It had showed Barry Boyce and Nigel Easton and anybody that act like them, they can do what they want to do. And everybody that know Austin Henson and some of the police in the Charleston, Missouri Police Department, they don't like me. But one thing about it, they think it's a victory. You see what I'm saying? They think it's a victory. The only one supported me and my family was the, as far as out of this courtroom, was the advocate, the female advocate, victim advocate out of Scott City, out of Benton. You see what I'm saying? The police department didn't do their job, but now when I videoed somebody that was telling people that I was a rapist and a pedophile right down by my house, which connected with this, he worked it with this judge, he worked it with Susanna Wesley, he worked it with Nigel Easton mother, Arthur Cassell, who was in the courtroom yesterday. But you know one thing about it, all them is connected. But one thing about it, I appreciate everybody that supported me, but it ain't over. You see what I'm saying? That's when lawsuits come in. You see, they wonder why all these things be happening. You see what I'm saying? On this violence is because you have corrupted police officers. You have organizations here in Charleston, Missouri, Mississippi County that work hand in hand with people like Nigel Easton and Barry Boyce. They'll get on their Facebook and say it's a victory, but it's not a victory because there's other law enforcement officials that's watching, and they take judges out of their seats. They take prosecutors out of their seats. They showed you here that they took judges out of their seats. But I'm going to just leave you with this here. When people in the courts and law enforcement don't protect you and give these people the right to do what they did, then you have to protect yourself by any means necessary. But one thing about it, like I said, me and my daughters never be moving, but there's no question of doubt that there was a miscarriage of justice. The police department didn't produce vital evidence. Vital evidence. But anytime I go to court, they have everything. But it'll come to pass. I just wanted to let everybody know that the judge, Robert Barker, found Nigel Easton not guilty of nothing what happened in the police department, about a police department. He found Barry Boyce not guilty of harassment, but peace disturbing. Now you take a look at that verdict and tell me what's wrong with it. It's a lot wrong with it because they should have been found guilty of both of them. And if one of them getting found guilty of peace disturbance, how did not the other one? You know why? Because it's been all arranged. Like I said, we know they work for the feds, and we know they're working for some of the Charleston Police Department. Austin Henson showed you that. The case that I went up here for yesterday had nothing to do with January the 30th, but they allowed Austin Henson to get on the stand. Barry Boyce and Nigel Easton told Judge Bob Barker that Judge Blake didn't see nothing wrong with this particular case. Judge Blake didn't hear the case that happened on April the 22nd. He heard everything other than that because when we went to court in front of Judge Blake for the protection order, they were served with the criminal cases. And Judge Blake said he has nothing to do with that. But one thing about it, God knows everything, and there's other law enforcement officials that's watching down. And one thing about it, I ain't gonna get violence. I ain't gonna go harass nobody. But one thing about it, God would deal with all of it, and then he'll send the right legal sources down here. Peace be still. Oh, let me say one more thing. I went up there to get a copy of the proceedings, and they said there's no record, no copy of the proceedings. They said that they don't copy misdemeanor cases. I got 2 or 3 different cases where I was here at misdemeanors that I got copies of. But this particular case, there's no record of what was said or done, no more than the ruling. It's something wrong with that too, ain't it? Just like when this courthouse burned down some years ago and they built up a new one. It was a bunch of criminal stuff that was happening in this courtroom that they didn't want nobody to see. But God gonna deal with it all. I don't trust no law enforcement officials or deal with this system here in Charleston, Missouri. I respect the Judge Dolan. I respect Judge Camp because they did just rulings. Peace be still.